Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're doing another Women of Horror Spotlight. Today, I have with us, she is a special effects artist. I mean, she's been on tour with Marilyn Manson and tons of rock bands, as well as done tons of horror films as well. I have with us Julia Hatley. Julia, welcome to the Horror Room.
Hello, guys. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you on. Pleasure to have you on. So, you're a special effects artist and you've worked on numerous horror movies. How did you get into working on horror films?
I've always been a horror fan since I was a kid. And so I didn't realize that it was a job. I grew up on the border of Ohio and West Virginia, so nowhere near like Hollywood or California or the movie industry. And I ended up going to college for a couple years, majoring in biology, minoring in chemistry, and I ended up dropping out. And I took out a $55,000 loan and moved to LA and went to film school, where I was majoring in directing and screenwriting. And then I ended up, we had to work on each other's films. Like as a lower class student, you had to work on like senior theses. And I ended up doing makeup on basically everybody's projects, including my own. All of my little films were horror films. And when I was working on one of the senior theses, they had hired an actual effects artist. And this guy came in carrying like 2 buckets of blood. And then he threw them on people, got paid, and didn't have to clean it up. And I was like, that's a job. And so I ended up like dropping out of film school and going right to makeup school. And I went to MUD, makeup designery in Burbank, and been doing makeup ever since. Almost 20 years now.
Nice. That's pretty fucking awesome. Now, I have, love for special effects artists, especially in horror, especially the ones who use, I love practical effects, being an 80s horror fan. Yes. Now, what is one of your, I should say, practical effects that you're the most proud of? That you're like, wow, that was fucking wicked.
Okay, so there's a music video called "Turn Down for What." Like "Turn Down for What?" Do 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 do. It's little. I should know this. DJ Snake and Little John, I think, and we have over 1 billion views on YouTube. And I did the face melt in it. And we won so many awards. Like, it was insane. I think we were nominated for a Grammy. I mean, it was a big deal. And one of the largest viewed music videos of all time. And I did the
so that's pretty fucking awesome. I know the music video that you're talking about as well. Now, I can imagine, right now, especially when it comes to indie horror or just horror in general, it's kind of hard to get your foot into the business. Now, especially with special effects. What's some advice? Because there's a lot of individuals who are watching my channel right now, who are fans of my channel, who they are special effects, but they're trying to get their foot into the door. What's some advice that you can give them?
Find somebody who's working. Offer yourself to them for free so that you can learn. And after you work for them for free for like a couple days, they should be able to hire you and get you on their team. But start out on somebody else's team. If you want to learn how to do it, be a team player and work your way up from the bottom. If you want to do your own shows, start with student films. And then essentially that's how I got my comeuppance. I did a lot of student films after I got out of makeup school, which I wasn't really paid on because you don't really get paid for student films. You get your materials paid for. But basically those people that I was working with when they were students, I'm still working with the same people today. So after they graduated, they got their own indies and they took me with them. And then they ended up, becoming studio directors and they took me with them. Or they ended up getting big music videos and they took me with them. So, if you find a group of people who are also starting out, you can all grow together. But if you want to go into bigger stuff and really learn from someone, you have to shadow them. That's the only way. And even going to makeup school, I definitely recommend people attending makeup school because you're going to learn sanitary, you're going to be able to practice on each other, but also when you're practicing on each other, you're having those random people apply stuff to you. And so you'll realize they were really heavy-handed. I don't want to be heavy-handed. Or I know that when I was in makeup school, I had a girl who glued my eyelashes shut, completely shut when we were learning how to do eyelashes. And so, I mean, I've never done that to anybody, but I know what it's like. Yeah. And so being able to know what it's like, you can also tell people, what they're in for. But definitely shadowing someone and working in a shop. I've worked in a lot of shops, and shop life is very hard. And there's only so many positions in shop world. And usually you start off being a PA or a runner. And so you're going to be going to all the stores and buying all the materials. And then in between, when you're not doing runs, you're going to be helping out, a lead artist. So you're going to learn a little bit how to do this and how to do that. And you're going to learn so much in the shop. But it's really hard to put your foot in the door. I mean, it's hard. You have to really want it, and you have to be willing to work 20-hour days. It's a
Now,
lot.
coming from the East, now I can imagine. Now, coming from the East Coast, from West Virginia, and now living in California, is that something that most, if you want to break into the industry, is California the place you have to be?
Not necessarily California. You can do California. You can do Atlanta. I mean, Canada has an amazing film industry. New Orleans has a good film industry. Las Vegas, we're trying to build some studios there. Hopefully that happens. Oh, look.
Hi.
I might have a screen queen here. Oh.
Hi.
Best. Hi.
Awesome. Welcome to the horror realm.
Hi, I'm Lisa Lendon.
Yeah, tell us
Lisa,
some of the stuff you've been on.
Oh, IMDb me. I love you. I got to get back down there.
Thank you for stopping by. I feel like I said
Always get guest appearances.
yeah, there's a couple screen queens running around here.
Love it.
They're lovely.
Because I can imagine, you know, but by like you said, being in one of those big cities where movies are being made is a priority. Because I mean, you know, living in a small town like, I mean, I live in Baltimore, Maryland, and I mean, there are some movies being shot up in like Frederick and DC, but you have to be in that area where projects are actually being made.
Or they also ship us out. Like if we're going to a place that doesn't have a big film hub, then they're sending everybody from California there. So they're not really hiring the local people. And so you kind of, I mean, the thing about California is it's just, you're going to meet everybody. It's the place to network. And like me, I lived in California. I moved there in 2004 and I lived here until 2019. And in 2019, I moved to Las Vegas. And so I still have a place here in LA that I stay when I work, but I live in Vegas now where it's cheaper. Much cheaper.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But
now,
because I have my network, I can live in Vegas and I know everybody here, and so I can still work. But if I had just moved to Vegas and never lived in LA, I wouldn't have any work.
You wouldn't have that networking connections.
No.
Now, are you worried as a special effects makeup artist who does a lot of practical effects? Are you worried about the surge of CGI in movies?
No. If anything, when I first started filming, we shot a lot on film. And then mini DV was a big deal. And so like little mini DV tapes. And so even being able to like have playback and being able to shoot cheaper on mini DV, you can take so many more takes. Where when you're shooting on film, you can't. And when it comes to like VFX and CGI incorporation, CGI started really coming in, you know, when I was getting started in the industry. And I was lucky enough that I actually work with a bunch of VFX artists. And we do incorporated makeups. So, for example, I did a movie. They had completely shot the movie, and basically there wasn't enough blood. And so they had hired a VFX company, and the VFX company hired me. And I went and rented a bunch of green mannequins, and then I painted them chroma green for CGI green. And the mannequins had to be like the same height and the same shape as the person. And one of the things that they wanted was somebody slashes someone in the stomach, and then there's a curtain of blood. And being able to get a curtain of blood on a person is a lot harder than on a mannequin. Because on a mannequin, I could literally just have a big old tube thing and I just paint everything green and I can, you know, blast it off here and really get a curtain down. And so the VFX people are taking my practical blood and they are taking it and inserting it over stuff. So VFX and practical and CGI, we work together. And if anything, I do as much as I can practically and then they bring their magic. Like I'll do a big exit wound and they'll do that little entrance wound. And it's
I fucking love it. Listen, I've always, been a horror fan. I'm like, wow, how does that work? You know, and like, you know, you look at the Tom Savini's of the time, probably the grandfather of practical effects and horror.
He's one of them, Dick Smith, and then
Dick Smith. Yes. Now, growing up watching horror, what were you a slasher fan, or what was your subgenre of horror?
Definitely 80s slasher. I like the character stuff. Like, okay, I'm a Freddy and a Chucky girl because they're funny and they cuss and they talk and they have personalities. I like my bad guys to be badass. And then some of my other favorite movies, like I love Dr. Giggles. I love The Ice Cream Man. I love Sleepaway Camp. Like all that stuff. Like 80s and early 90s is really where it's at. That's when horror was at its best. And I love the stuff that we're doing now, but it's just different. Like I like my horror to be fun. And I think that was the time when it was fun.
I agree because horror back then was unapologetic. It really was. It was kind of offensive, but it was offensively fun. I should say that's the word. But like, yeah, I grew up in '80s horror where the guy in the wheelchair got it as much as the black guy did. So I mean, it was just like
Oh yeah, we're
it was spread around. Yes. Now, when you got to work on being a big horror fan, got to work on your first horror set. How amazing was that? Were you like, holy shit, I cannot believe I'm doing this?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, your career, it totally spider webs. And so every job you get is your favorite job. And then the next job you get is your favorite job. And then the next job you get is your favorite job. And like when I started, like say that I was doing like a homeless guy makeup. It might take me like 45 minutes in the beginning because I was applying all the dirt. And then I realized as I'm wiping it away and trying to remove it, it looks better. And so now when I'm doing like homeless people are dirty stuff, you literally just like put it on there, and then you take baby wipes and you're putting it together with baby wipes. You're actually cleaning it away and like making it all blend. So much of makeup is a blend. You're trying to not make things splotchy. You're trying to make it cohesive. And you have to have that eye for it. And I feel like you can't really teach the eye. People either have it or they don't. I mean, like I can, like talking about a bruise, like I can have a student and I can be like, okay, I'm going to put the purple on and then I'm going to put the red on, and they're trying to mimic exactly what I'm doing. But at the end of the day, theirs is very, very drastic and mine is not drastic. And they think theirs looks exactly like mine. Where a good makeup artist is going to be like, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. And they'll figure it out. Where the person who looks at it and says, oh yeah, that matches, and you can obviously see it doesn't match, they don't have the eye for it. You can't teach that, sadly.
And I agree. And so like my day job, if anybody watching my channel, I'm a mortician, and one of the things you have to take, one of the classes you have to take in mortuary school is called cosmetics and restoration. So that means, people who have died in a traumatic way, you got to put them back together. You have to make them look, presentable for, their funeral. And everybody has gone to some funerals and you're like, boy, that person has a lot of makeup on. That person looks really dead. And you go to some funeral homes, you're like, boy, that person looks like themselves or even better than they did when they're alive. And it is because even as a mortician, you got to have, not all morticians are created equally. You got to have that eye when it comes to cosmetics.
Yeah. You have to know when you're done and when you're right.
Exactly. So what was the first horror movie, Julie, that you watched that really scared the shit out of you and also got you into horror?
The original Nightmare on Elm Street. So when I was in kindergarten, my kindergarten teacher made us fill out who our best friend was, what's your favorite movie, what's your pet's name, and then she mailed it to us when we were a senior. And literally when I was in kindergarten, my favorite movie was Nightmare on Elm Street. And I know that by the time when I was in third grade and I was 9, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. So I was sick and I was home from school a lot. And at that point, the movie It, Stephen King's It with Tim Curry, came out. And my grandmother had recorded it when it was on TV. And so she gave me her VHS tape. So I had that VHS tape as a kid, and I watched that so many times. I showed it to like every kid in the neighborhood. Like every time there was a sleepover, like I've probably seen that movie like over 1,000 times, literally. Like I can almost like quote it through. And I love that movie so much. I think too because it was like I was around the same same age as the kids at the time, and so there's something about being a kid and watching horror movies about kids because you can identify with it. And I love Stephen King stories, and the fact that Pennywise can get you if you believe, he can only get you if you believe, he can't get you if you don't believe. Like it's just cool. And that movie doesn't have a lot of blood or a lot of gore, but my God, that clown's amazing. And Tim Curry's
eerie
the best
as fuck.
in the world.
Yes, it's an eerie movie. It definitely is. I mean, even today watching it. Yeah. And I mean, you bring up Nightmare on Elm Street, like Freddy Krueger is by far is my favorite character. Now, my favorite horror movie of all time is the original Halloween. But if you would have asked me, like the horror movies that really got me in love with horror was the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I love Freddy, and I grew up in the '80s, so like Freddy was like a fucking kids. I remember going to school and kids had Freddy Krueger lunch pails and fucking T-shirts and everything. I had a Freddy Krueger doll, and I
have the
video
Matchbox
games. Yes, I mean, he was like huge. I mean, he was like the first horror character that really infiltrated pop culture, and not only that, but like kids were fascinated with Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, I got to work with Robert Englund. I did a movie with him called Natty Knox, and he's amazing. Like, such a cool human. And Bill Moseley was in it too, and Danielle Harris. So I had like the trifecta.
Yes. By the way, Robert Englund's a nice guy. I actually ran into him. I was at a horror convention, and his line for the horror convention was ridiculously long.
Unbelievable.
And you know, he charges a pretty penny too. But I was down in the bar late one night, and he sat right next to me, and like we just sat there and talked. I have a picture, and him and I taking a shot together. But like, it was so amazing. Like, he is like the nicest guy you ever meet. Super cool. Super cool.
He made Freddy. He brought him to life. If
he really did.
It's yeah.
I mean, he's the one, and the reason why I love Freddy Krueger so much because, like, yes, he's ruthless. He finds unique ways to kill people, like all the horror characters do.
Mm-hmm.
But he has that personality that a Jason or Michael Myers doesn't have.
Yeah.
All right, as you know, this is a horror channel, so I'm gonna ask you 3 random horror questions. This is your personal opinion,
okay.
By the way. All right. What is one horror movie, as a special effects makeup artist, what is one horror movie that even today, you're like amazed of their special effects work?
I'm trying to think of like how far back I want to go. I mean, okay, the original Night of the Living Dead. You know, George Romero, like those zombies were amazing. Like, he literally created zombies. Like, they started off, he wanted to call them flesh eaters. You know, the movie was supposed to be called Night of the Flesh Eaters, and they didn't have the copyright on it, and then they ended up changing it to Night of the Living Dead. But the fact that he created zombies, and those zombies were pretty good. I mean,
no budget at all either.
For what it was. Now, monster-wise, I'm a really big fan of the movie Feast, that series. I thought the blood gags and that was so fun. And the monsters, you know, he's like fucking face fucking shit. I mean, that movie was great. And the little baby monster coming out of the big monster, yeah, those are some badass practical effects, for sure.
They really are. Now, the second question is, you've done plenty of kills. What is one kill that you've done that you're like, fuck, I would not want to die this way?
Impaling through the neck. I did one where a girl was running and she like tripped and fell on like a fence post and got like impaled this way, and she didn't die right away. And so later somebody found her and she was still alive. And I just think being impaled on something and being stuck and bleeding and you just can't move, that would be pretty bad. A long, miserable death would not be fun.
That is fucking awful.
Because most deaths are quick, you know, like you slit a throat.
Yeah.
But like the ones that are, yeah.
Because, I mean, if you think about majority of the kills in the horror movies, they're quick and fast, and I don't know if the person actually feels any of the pain, like Michael Myers pulling your head off or something. I don't think you feel any of that. You know what I mean? It's quick and fast, it's boom. But, like, those slow ones, I mean, yeah, that's the ones where you're lingering. Like even some of the Terrifier shit, it's like overkill. It's like the person's still alive and clearly feeling the shit.
Yeah, those are the bad ones. That's not the way I want it.
All right. The final question. Besides Robert Englund, who's someone that you've worked with or they've been on the set and you completely fangirled it?
A lot of people.
It was so amazing.
I mean, the first time I worked with Bill Moseley, that was a big thing. And I've worked with him, I think, 3 or 4 times now. But I'm a really, really big House of 1,000 Corpses fan. And his character of Otis is just so cool. And I mean, he's such a horror icon. He's done so many cool roles. Like, he did the Night of the Living Dead remake that Tom Savini, redid. I mean, he's just amazing. And he's such a cool guy. And the first time I worked with him was a Slayer music video. And so Felissa Rose, who is Angela in Sleepaway Camp, she was actually producing it. And so she was there. And then I had Bill Moseley and, oh, shoot, what's her name? From Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, Super Hottie. That's Super Hottie.
I know you're talking about.
But she was in it too. And just being around all of these like icons, and obviously, and Bill obviously is Chop Top. And so I love Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And so being around them, and then also being around with Felissa with Sleepaway Camp, like that was, and working on a Slayer video, it's like, wow, this is everything I love. But yeah, I mean, he definitely. And then when I got Natty Knox, I had to do a bunch of like burn makeups and stuff on him. So basically, I was his personal artist, and not to any spoilers, but like a lot of people die in that movie, and so we got to have some fun. But he's just such a pleasure. Almost all horror people are a pleasure. Like we're a rare breed, and everybody comes to have fun.
And that's the key. I mean, in a little bit over a year that I've been doing this channel, I might have had one bad experience, you know what I mean? Out of probably hundreds, and like everybody has been such a pleasure to work with. I mean, even going to the horror conventions all across the country. Maybe, I mean, out of thousands of people, actually more than 100, probably 1,000 people, I might have a handful of run-ins with people that I was just like, but at the same time, I always attest it as a positive thing in person. I was like, well, maybe they just had a bad day.
Sure.
Or something. Yeah. So, I mean, I never ever labeled somebody an asshole just because of one bad experience.
I mean, they're out there. There's, a couple bad seats, but for the most part,
yeah, there are
some hard-working peoples.
Yes.
Down and dirty.
Now, real quick, the first rock concert I've ever been to, because I wasn't a big rock fan growing up, but I had a friend, and he was a huge Marilyn Manson fan. And the first rock concert I went to was a Marilyn Manson rock concert, which was absolutely fucking insane. Mm-hmm. And you got to go on tour with Marilyn Manson. Mm-hmm. What was that like?
Oh, he's a trip. I love him to death. I mean, he's such a performer, and I mean he burns Bibles. He cuts himself and puts it on people. I mean, it's a show. It's like a show. It's not just a concert. And he is one of the most intelligent people I've ever met in my life. Like having conversations with him is just amazing. And when we were on tour, it was when American Horror Story Freak Show was coming out. And so I was able to like watch episodes of that with him as it was coming out. And so like even being able to like watch that with him was really cool. And before I went on tour with him, I did some music videos, and then it was when Pale Emperor had come out. And so I did like all the press stuff for him. So we did like Rolling Stone and, a bunch of magazines and stuff. And I got to know him as a human being, and he's a great guy. Like I have so much respect for him as an artist and a human being. And he really watched out for me, treated me like a little sister, treated me like family, always made me feel comfortable. Made sure I was happy.
Now, how do you feel about all the bullshit that's coming out in the news about him?
So this is technically the first time I've said anything about it on air, and I don't want to take anything away from what other people's experiences were, but I can honestly say that he never, ever made me feel uncomfortable, ever. And I spent a lot of time alone with him, and that's not the guy I know. The guy I know would never do anything to hurt someone, and so I find it hard to believe, personally. But at the same time, I wasn't there. And I spent a lot of time with him, and it's not the guy I know. And
I mean, I'm sorry.
He lost a lot. Like, he lost his manager, he lost his label. Like, he's really went through hell for this, and quite frankly, he hasn't been charged with anything. Like, his whole life was taken away, and they made like a video about it, and then there were some girls who kind of accused him of some stuff and then kind of came back and said it wasn't true. I mean, there's a lot of like mud in the water there, I think. But for me personally, like, he treated me like a little sister, and if I had a daughter or a little sister, like I would trust him with her. It's the best I can say. Like,
But isn't it fucked up in this country that you're
Being
guilty you're guilty. You're supposed to be not guilty until proven innocent. But right now, anybody, especially if it's a man and a woman said something, you're guilty until proven innocent. And even if you're proven innocent, you're still guilty.
It's not right.
You're still guilty. Even if you're proven innocent, you're still, in the eyes of people, you're still fucking guilty.
It's not right. I just, and especially like, I mean, not to really pick at it, but like he's married now too. And Lindsay, who he's married to, that's who he was dating when I was on tour with them and stuff. And so like the stories that I've heard, it's not what I experienced. Right? That he lost he's married. I mean, he's married, and like all of this stuff, like he's not even dating anybody. He's not on the market. Like this is somebody who literally like turned the page. And then talking about like him dating somebody who was like much younger, like at the same time, like she was an adult and he was an adult, and you know, some people mature at different levels than other people, and it was happy and consensual at the time. I think, I hope I'm going to get blasted for this, but I think sometimes people are okay with something when it's happening, and then maybe later they feel guilty about something or they look back on it differently, and now they want to blame people. Like, I don't know. I feel like whatever he did, he thought it was consensual at the time. Because, like, I mean, on tour, for example, like he like stepped on my foot and was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," you know. And then like there was a couple times, because he's like 6 foot something and I'm like 5'5", and so like my face is right at his elbow, and part of my job was to like get his jackets off really quickly and put other jackets back on. And like there was a time where he like accidentally bumped me in the nose and like had a little nosebleed, and he was like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" Like, so I don't see him as this like pain causing person if he's, I don't know, self-aware that I'm sorry I hurt you accidentally. Like, I don't know. And then like even per se, I'm not going to name a name, but there was like a photographer that we worked with who has a really terrible reputation for not being okay with women. And when we were working with this photographer, like when Manson went to the bathroom, like I went upstairs with him. And when I went to the bathroom, he went upstairs with me because he didn't want to leave me alone with this guy. So, I mean, that's like literally him like protecting me and looking out for me like a little sister. And so this is my experience with him. And then hearing this other experience, it's just not the guy I know. And with me too, like I didn't spend one day with him or one weekend with him. I spent a lot of time with him, like days and days and days, months and months with him. And so I don't know. But I hate to say I don't know. I hate to say something if I wasn't there, but like my experience is my experience. And a lot of these people seemed okay with the relationship at the time.
But that's something. See, now I'm gonna get myself in.
Yeah, you're getting it too. We're stepping in the shit.
No, but I mean, oh, God. Should I even say this? Okay, but Rose McGowan, right? She was the one who came out about Harvey Weinstein originally, and you know, spearheaded the whole Harvey Weinstein Me Too. Harvey Weinstein's a horrible person. Let me. I'm not saying he's a great person or anything, but when Rose McGowan was getting those lead role movies and Terror and on all those movies, she was getting lead role actresses, and she was blowing him and fucking him. It wasn't a big deal. It wasn't until she got into that accident, face fucked up, and now she can't get any more roles. That's when it became an issue.
It's back to that okay with it and consenting at the time and deciding later that, I mean, I don't know, like the whole casting couch, it's a trade.
It is. But listen, I'm saying you can say no. But here's the thing: you can say no. You can say no. You can say no. You can say no. And like, but if you say yes, you can't come back and be like, "Well, that person's a piece of shit" or whatever, because you said yes. I mean, listen, you have the choice to say yes or no.
I had an incident happen to me on a set, and It was with a DP. The DP was much older than me at the time. I want to say I was in like my mid-20s, and he was probably in his 60s. And he was actually drunk on set. And he ended up making comments like about me bending over, you know, grabbing buckets or whatever. And then when I was at monitor, he took his hand and went up my leg and grabbed my crotch and like licked his lips at me. At which point I was like, oh, hell no. And I walked away from monitor, and I immediately told my director and my producer, and they immediately fired him. Immediately fired.
So what do you
can't do that. So if somebody sexually harasses you and puts your hands on them, you have to say something. You can't wait 10 years. Is my
dead ones out here.
You just got to say something. And I know that in my experience, I've always stood up for myself, and I stand up for other people if I need to. But like, you say something. And I know that not everybody has the courage to do that and whatever, but maybe we should grow that a little bit. Let's have a little more courage. And I think the Me Too movement did bring it out to where more people are speaking up, and it made it like more acceptable to say something.
I'm gonna have to change.
But with me personally knowing him and working with him and hearing these things about him, it's not the guy I know.
Yeah. Listen, everybody is innocent until proven guilty. That's the way I see it.
Yeah.
And listen, I've been guilty of this too, and I've said this a couple times to my show, that I've been guilty of, especially when it's a woman saying a man did something to them. I've been guilty of saying that man's a piece of shit. He did that, and then I feel fucking awful when months later it was a lie. I feel fucking awful. But the people, including myself, who were harassing that man or saying bad shit, but we never go back and apologize. Mm-hmm. We know in society we never go back and right or wrong, say I was wrong for putting this blame on you when, and it's just fucking wrong. I mean, it's fucking wrong, and like I don't do it anymore. I don't. Everybody is innocent until proven guilty in my eyes. Yep.
Yeah, as it should be. I wish it was
exactly
a little more universal.
Exactly. All right, Julia, where can everyone find you?
I'm not really on a lot of social media. I'm on Facebook, and it's Julie with an I there. And I'm on Instagram, but I barely use it. If anything, I need somebody to help me learn how to use it. Because I'm just not. I'm a practical effects girl. I don't work on a computer. Right? I'm scissors and glue. I use my hands. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
And what is next project we can see?
What do I have coming out? Let me think.
What project are you on right as we speak? Or
okay, yeah. So currently, I'm on a show called Merry Day, and it's going to be amazing. And it'll probably take like 6 months maybe or more before they have everything kind of going on. But there should be an IMDb up soon. Oh, I'm definitely on IMDb. I'm all over that. But yeah, it should be up there soon. Anything. It's so odd because usually when I do something, it doesn't come out for like a year or more. And so trying to find stuff that is coming out, and then a lot of times I'm under NDAs, non-disclosure, so I can't really say what I've worked on until press is released. Oh, I did an amazing movie called My Movie starring Paul Dano. And that is probably going to be coming out, I'd say, 6 to 8 months. And we have some really interesting, like, caveman makeups in it. And we have some caveman makeups in it, and we have just a bunch of, like, really fabulous, like, funky shit. And it's an indie movie, and so it's got a lot of heart. And that one's going to be fun. And then I have Clutch. What was Clutch? Oh, yeah, Clutch. So this is Michael Marino is the director, and it stars Augie Duke. She's been in a ton of horror stuff. And Sadie Katz, also a ton of horror stuff.
Nice.
Super cool. And this is like an action kind of, I don't want to say Fast and Furious because it's like way cooler than like that, but it's like, you know, in that like fast and fun kind of world. That one's going to be cool. Mike Ferguson's in it too. He's super
I
fun.
love Mike. I've
Isn't
had
he
Mike
great
on my
guy?
show. That's my
man.
buddy. That's my buddy.
Yeah.
I love Mike Ferguson.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like, yeah, getting to work with these people are so cool and so fun. All right, let me see what else here. I go to. I'm looking at my IMDb. Oh, I did a remake of Spider Baby. That one just came
Really?
out not too long ago. Yeah, and that one was directed by Dustin Ferguson. And actually, here we have one of the stars over here. You want to come say hi? She was in Spider Baby, and she's got a lot going on in this one.
Just
Hello,
call me
welcome to
Phil.
the horror realm.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
How are you doing?
Good. How
Tell
are
a little
you?
bit about Mary Day.
Really quick, because I got to get back on set. But yeah, I'm the director and writer of Mary Day and the Scream Queens. And Julie is doing all the special effects makeup. It stars Lisa London, Hennessy Dane as Mary Day. We're introducing her. Bring Stevens and Michelle Bauer. We're bringing these 4 iconic women together as the Scream Queens. And Mary Day, aka this psychotic, deranged, gorgeous 21-year-old, comes to visit the Scream Queens escaping from an asylum, and she basically turns the predators into prey. So it's an amazing story while she's giving a hell of a makeover. So it's a really fun, exciting story, but there's a lot of comedy in it. So it's considered kind of a black comedy, but it's very dynamic and a lot of crazy special effects and lots of good murders and amazing. These women are incredible. We haven't seen these women do, I think, this kind of level of not only intense drama, but the comedy. It's just watching them flex their chops is insane. It's been exciting.
Definitely looking forward to it. Definitely.
Yes, you're having fun.
You'll like it. Yeah, it's the
Yes.
the costumes are amazing. The ingenue Mary Day she's 5'10", but in the Beehive she's about 6'4", and in 5-inch white platform go-go boots. So it's kind of set in the 70s, sort of a 70s vibe. So there's these amazing costumes, and we're shooting at La Roca Villa and Ranch, which is a film studio out here in Santa Clarita, California. Quick, kind of, I would say close, a quick drive to the Golden Oaks studio with Disney. So it's a beautiful 15-acre ranch, and we're shooting in this 8,000 square foot villa, and it's just got these insane locations, and just every photograph in the movie is like literally a still painting. It is just beautiful, beautiful sets and super colorful, very technicolor, and costumes that are really out of this world. It's kind of Love Witch meets Barbarella with a really dark underbelly to it. So yeah, so
I'm
we're
looking
excited.
forward to seeing it, and looking forward to have you on to talk about it as well.
Oh, we would absolutely love to. We've got cast. We're ready to shoot. Actually, the Scream Queens die in these 4 horrific ways, and Julie is going to help get us from gasoline to a fish hook in the neck. So we're going to have quite the insane evening into the wee hours as we shoot that. But anyways, it's a pleasure. I'm glad to meet you, Travis, and hope all is well.
Pleasure.
Yes, we'll love any marketing that you can give us. We'd love to come on the show and talk to you about it when we get a little closer. But thanks for sharing the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Don't keep her too long though, because I
Pleasure.
need her to be on set. That's
Yes.
yes. All right. Take care, everybody.
Yeah, so I get to work
Julia.
with people like that, right?
That's pretty fucking awesome. I mean, listen. I'm jealous of your job. I'm jealous of your job. But listen, you put in the hard work, and you absolutely deserve it.
Thank you.
All right, listen, everybody, get on IMDb. I get that shit mixed up all the time.
Oh yeah.
And definitely check out some of Julie's work. And also follow her on Facebook and Instagram. One day she'll get on there and start posting some stuff.
Yeah, one of these days I need to learn it. But I'm kind of active on Facebook though. Like Facebook, it's been using that one for the last 20 years, so that's easy. But Instagram, I can't usually post pictures until a year later. And so
I'm the same way with Instagram.
I've never done
Like I have an Instagram, and I've kind of cheated it where I can actually post on Instagram and then it carries over to my Facebook. But I don't even really pay attention to my Facebook, so I totally get it. Julia, it's been a blast having you on. Listen, you're more than welcome to come on anytime.
Yay! Let's come on and talk about like a certain genre. Like, let's.
I'm gonna come.
I'm down anytime.
Yeah, I'm gonna have you on for a random mashup show, and we're just gonna talk about horror.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yes, if we're both not canceled. But listen,
That's true.
yes,
Hopefully not.
yes, no, we're not. We'll be fine. I'll talk about crazier shit. All right, everyone. Well, thank you for coming on to the Horror Realm. I'm Travis Bruce, and that's Julia Happney. We'll see you next time.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me. Stay safe.